Most of the times when you're being polite, you're being fake.
You're probably right.
Just put polite, being fake.
An expectation that I have when I'm talking to anyone is to befriend them straight up. And I think there's like this battle, this dilemma when I get on the phone with a potential prospect or client is like, Mo, outside of business, wants to be your friend, wants to vibe with you, wants to have a positive engagement, wants to enjoy the conversation. So going into a sales call, I'm like, the inevitable has to happen, which is we have to talk about money. I rather now just be like, listen, we're going to have to get to this eventually. So I'd love to like be respectful of you and your time and the scope, blah, blah, blah. Because if we're not in alignment there, I'd love to just like get to know you and be your friend.
See, I'm going to say a couple of things. Now, I know that we're using words very casually here, but every word you use tells me a little bit about who you are and what your beliefs and values are. When you say we're going to have to talk about this eventually, those are two very strong words. Like, I don't want to do this. Because you never have to do anything you want to do. You get to.
Well, wait, one more time. One more time on that part.
When you say I have to do something, the emotion to that is negative. Because anytime you want to do something, you don't say I have to. You say I get to.
Yeah.
Like your wife is Olivia, right? Mm-hmm. You don't say, Olivia, I have to love you.
Yeah.
I get to love you.
Facts.
So when you say I have to talk about this eventually... Just think about this.
Yeah,
your language betrays you.
You're
or
right.
reveals your truth, right?
Yeah.
And eventually, like, it's something I do not want to do, and I'd like to procrastinate this for as long as possible. I don't look at it like that at all. I think it's essential that we talk about this because it's an absolute necessity for you and for me to know what we're talking about.
Wow, that just changed the whole dynamic of that statement.
Let me dive deeper
the
for
whole
you.
Vibe.
Let me dive deeper for you. Here's who Mo is. Mo wants to be like Winnie the Pooh. No enemies, everybody's friends. I don't judge anybody. And it's like, your life is good, my life is good. And that's it.
Yeah.
You could literally on that call say something like, you know, you don't know me that well. I'd like to get to know you. And I like to become friends with all my clients. So there's this part inside of me that wants to just vibe with you, talk about music, culture, and what you love. There's this other part that just doesn't love talking about money. But I know that's a necessity in order for us to figure out if we want to work together. Now, should we not work together and you just want to hang, have coffee, or do what you want to do? I'm good with that too. What should we do?
I love that. I love everything about how you just broke that down.
Well, I think the big thing about that is that the people that talk to you like that, they're like, to me, are people that already put in a whole other level of like, let's call it a human being, because they're already being so real and upfront with you.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of that nowadays, right? You're being direct to the point of just like, hey, this is what it's like. You just say what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And that happened when we went out to eat food. You're like, bro, like, you don't like this food. Just tell them that like you don't like this food.
Right.
And sure enough, I was like, bro, like whatever you guys just brought me was not good. And the guy was like, yeah, I probably wouldn't eat this either. And he brought me something else. But I was gonna just like brush it off. But because of what we learned with you prior to that day, Mo was like, no, just tell them. And it made me feel better as a human being too. Cause he's like, Mo was like, how do you feel now? I was like, feel better. He's like, you're gonna get something else to eat now. But it's, I don't know, but I guess just being honest, that's, I guess, the part of being human that you're talking about. Like, just be real with the other person that you're having a moment with.
I do want to say something, because that's something that we can all apply in our real life. When you go to a restaurant, and sometimes they screw up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's over season. Sometimes it's under season. And all my life, I was just taught by osmosis, I think, by watching the way my dad moved through the world. Just eat it. Literally, figuratively, metaphorically, just eat it. Don't complain. Do not raise any issue with anything. Swallow it, smile, and then never come back.
That was me.
That's a lot of us.
Yeah. He was like sitting there crunching on this rice.
He was suffering, dude. He was
right.
Miserable. Why are you even eating that? I was like, I don't know.
Right. So, and I have friends who are like, never complain.
Yeah.
Because somebody's had a hard job, and I respect that. Here's the thing. I've had to train myself, especially in restaurants, if it doesn't work out. I mean, we're not talking about like it's a little bit off or the portions are a little bit smaller or bigger than it usually is. But I'm like, this is so salty. Like, I cannot eat this. Right? So what am I going to do? Horrible plate of food. I'm going to peck at it. It's going to go in the rubbish bin. I'm probably going to give this person a very low tip. I'm probably going to give it a bad review, and I'm probably not going to
Yeah.
return. So by being polite and nice, I've actually hurt the business owner more than anything else. And somewhere behind all businesses is a man, a woman, or something that cares about this business. And they didn't know, and that their main chef who was sick this day, a temp chef, is ruining their business. And they don't get the opportunity to correct. Think about it this way too. If you create something for your client, all you want from them is honest feedback. Imagine if they just told you, yeah, this is pretty good. And they walk back like, oh my God, we made a mistake. This mark is mediocre. I would not pay more than $10 on Fiverr for this. And this is what we paid for. And how you like it? Oh, this is good.
Oh my God.
Think about that.
Kill me. Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually later on, they never call you back. And you're like, what is going on? And all you want to do is wish that they just told you the truth.
Because we could have fixed it in the moment.
At least you would know.
Or at least try.
That happened to me.
That's a decision for you now. And sometimes you may elect to say, you're crazy. This is a good logo. And I don't know what else to do. Or you can say, let me try and make this right by you. Those are things that you need. But it begins with you being brave enough to say, not in an impolite way. You don't have to be impolite. But the opposite of impolite is not necessarily polite. It's just truth. You can say, I don't know what it is, if it's this dish or it's just my taste level, but there's just too much salt for like what I'm feeling right now. I don't know if everything that you have in the back is like this. I'm wondering if we can order something else that has a lower risk of it being so salty. And I don't mean to complain. I really like this restaurant. I come here often. I'd like to continue to do so in the future. I just want to give you some feedback about this. You don't have to be like, are you guys imbeciles? Do you have crap for brains? What is going on? This is garbage. I wouldn't give this to my dog. You all should be fired, and pull a Gordon Ramsay and flip it over, right?
Yeah.
Okay? You don't have to do that. That's just called being rude.
Yeah. You want to be respectful.
That is personally attacking people and calling names. There's a time and place for that. I don't know where it is. So we are now touching on so many things. So you, are, as a good student, are noticing a lot of things I'm doing. These are the mechanics. This is where your robot brain is coming over. And you don't fully understand it. You don't fully understand your own distaste for certain things. So if you coded the whole experience as such, I'm going to ask you a question. As a man of your family, are there things that you have to do as chores that you don't love doing?
I don't do laundry.
Okay, there. That's perfect. You don't like doing laundry.
Yeah.
So when you have to do laundry, you're going to have a negative emotion about it. And you're not going to enjoy the experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to enjoy something. It's hard to look forward to something when you've already told yourself it's impossible for me to enjoy it, to look forward to it. So when you do laundry, you tell yourself, and this is going to tie into what we just said, I have to do laundry. It's my responsibility. If you just told yourself, I get to do laundry because my wife deserves a break. I need to do my part and to be an equal contributor in every way I can. I get to do this. I get to show the people in this house that I contribute, right? So you get to do something versus you have to do something.
Yeah.
So when you say, I have to talk about pricing, I have to be the bad guy, I have to be whatever it is.
You're right. You're 100%
now,
right.
You're not going to do that with alacrity. And you need to.
And it's going to come across like almost like
you're not that good of a con man to hide it.
I'm not a con man, period.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't lie that well to say like, I hate this, but I'm going to, don't want to love this.
Right.
Smiling through your teeth. We know that.
Right. Right. When you told me to break down what you did in the role play, the most powerful part, and then when I explained about myself, you attributed it to me, is the setting expectations for the call. I think that was really good. In the role play, you talked about being in the mountains and I want to get to things quickly, just so they're prepared if this call sounds like I'm moving too fast or I'm not trying to rush you, all that kind of stuff. But then when you took it a little bit further, when you said, I love that all my prospects or clients be my friends, I want to befriend them. I actually don't like talking about, like, you set the expectations so everything is on the table and nothing feels like a surprise. And that to me, I think is really powerful because I think it's vulnerable and I think it's the epitome of being real. That's my takeaway there. I mean,
so why aren't you being real?
I think I didn't know that I didn't have the know-how, to be honest. And I was definitely in robot mode. Like last time I talked, this was the bullet point. This was the takeaway. Let me try to apply it. And I'm glad that I applied it the way I did, because I learned something. I'm not going to say I failed. I learned something. Yeah. And I'm able to bring it to the table now and see, like, the whole polite bit that you just went into. That's a game changer, because when you actually broke down the definition, that's very true. And before this, it's like I'm proud of being polite. Now I'm like, oh, polite dilutes being real. Mm-hmm. And it's a complete shift for me at this point.
Let's go even stronger. Most of the times when you're being polite, you're being fake.
You're probably right.
Just put polite being fake. That's all.
I used to equate polite as being nice, as being a good,
nice.
being a good human. No, I think now my language has even changed. Like, I can be respectful, but like, you've officially made polite as fake for me, and it's like over. Like, it can't be just polite. I can be respectful. I can be real. I can be. That's it.
Yeah. For some reason, we were taught, if you want to be a nice person, be polite. Mm-hmm. And then those two get married together, and they live in our brain that way. So what I'm telling you, and I asked you this question, not because I'm like so high and mighty, I'm floating above all this stuff. I'm not. I work on this all the time. I really do. And sometimes it gets me into trouble. As you can see, sometimes being direct, there's a time to be direct and there's a time not to be direct. Like I said, when it's inconsequential, you could tell an untruth. It's okay. It's called a white lie, right? Now, the reason why I'm not above all this stuff is because when I was working with clients, my business coach, Kier, and I think we can roll the tape back 2 big pro meetups ago. Mm-hmm. I said the best piece of advice my coach ever gave me was to say what you think.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that from you before.
Now, saying what you think, people think, oh my God, I can't do that because I have horrible thoughts about people. So the second part to that, say what you think, is learn how to say what you think in non-violent terms, without judgment. I'm not holding the superior ground to anybody. I arrive as an equal. I'm going to try to use objective, non-violent language. That's critical. I think the term that I wanted to say earlier, I have a better word. I shouldn't have said con man or con artist. I just said you're not that good of an actor. That's the bottom line. So here's the thing that I'm thinking about right now. When I say to you guys before, don't act like you really need it. And that's just training wheels for actually don't feel anything.
Just be present.
I don't want it, and I don't not want it. I want to be as neutral as possible so I can see things for the way they are. And so when you start to really believe that, then it changes everything. Mm-hmm. That's why I can go into these meetings and calls and role plays and be as powerful as I can be, because I'm using all of my brain versus pretending to be somebody or to be liked or to feel like I'm the master at something. I'm here.
Yeah.
Whether you judge me as being nice, polite, wise, or stupid or arrogant, that's on you. I don't have control over that.
Yeah.
But in this moment, I'm trying my best to be here. And that's all I'm trying to do. And it takes a lot of energy. When I say to be in my full power, I don't mean like power, like fists pounding on chest kind of thing, but in being able to use my full intelligence. Mm-hmm. We have so much potential. We don't live up to that potential because we're busy doing something else. We're busy being somewhere else. We're busy thinking about something else. We're trying to escape our past or imagine the future. We're just not here.
Right, right.
So all of these things can happen. All you need to do is learn how to say it in a nonviolent way. Mm-hmm. And that begins with the conversation you have with yourself. You're using violent language inside your own mind. I have to, eventually. Mm-hmm. Whatever other words we had already picked apart. Start having a different dialogue internally. Then you can have a different dialogue externally.
Yeah.
Do we have closure on this?
Very much so.
Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing your future success, because I know if you can be yourself, this warm, likable person that can speak about things objectively in nonviolent ways, I think you will do really well.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for the the shift. This is forever the last time that I'm going to go in like eventually or have to, you know?
Well, give yourself some space.
Mm-hmm.
You're not that young of a person compared to me. You are, but in life, you've had how many years? How old are you?
27.
You've had 27 years of practice at this thing. Give yourself some grace to say like, I'm going to work on this. And every time I catch myself, I'm going to be a little bit patient. I'm going to forgive myself because I don't want to have that violent communication again. Right? For some people, they can flip it like this. I would say for most people, it takes time. It's gradual progress that we're looking for, not overnight cures and success. I'm not a hypnotist. I wish I were, because then I could grant that to you, but I don't have that kind of power. So just realize, like every time you feel it, like, whoa, why am I saying this to myself? And do I want to have a different conversation? Like I said, once you master it internally, it flowing outward will be much, much easier.
Gotcha.
Let me get us out of this. Okay. Cool. Once again, I want to thank you, Mo, for being here, being present, for telling us a story, and also for Rodrigo for being our friend and neutral observer to the situation and chiming in as always, bringing the heavy questions. I do appreciate that. And for my team, Jonah and Ricky, for recording this. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. In the past, people tend to like these really direct one-on-one conversations and that are super hyper-focused. If you do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. And I will see you on the next episode.